Hey there, my name's Jennifer Hanna, and I'm going to tell you about myself. I started off my professional career in banking with BB&T about 7 years ago. I started as a teller, processing cash transactions, bank transactions in general, and then balancing my personal cash drawer, the vault, and then the ATM. I also learned how to follow bank procedures and run branch balancing reports, know what's in the branch, know what's in the ATM, and also how to make schedules. Soon I was promoted to a universal banker where I performed the same skills as a teller, but also added on how to open up those consumer and business checking accounts. I say checking accounts, but it was any kind of account with the bank. And I also became NMLS certified, which is the National Mortgage Lending Service. Once I left BB&T, I went to US Bank, where I became a teller again, performed most of the same tasks as before, but learned the US Bank way of doing it, and what US Bank policies and procedures were. Within 6 months, I was promoted to teller coordinator, where I was over 9 employees on the teller line. Learning to juggle all of the schedules and the priorities and the bombardment of questions that would come was definitely one of the best takeaways I have from that job. Yes, it was very tasking and very, I'll say, very demanding. It was also one of the best ways I learned how to do that job and how to really learn the teller role the best way possible. After I left that position, I became a universal banker with US Bank, where again I learned how to do the consumer and business way of checking, but I also added on that lending, where I was able to learn how to lend out money and that process and what's required. And that's the role I'm in now, and I'm really enjoying it, really learning how to grow and expand my knowledge as far as lending goes. Why I want this job. So I have been in the branch for about 7 years. I love the branch life. I love my customers, but I'm ready for a next challenge. My next challenge is, I think, to work more with employees and more networking and developing my personal skills and skills of employees around me, of how they respond and how well they do with with this digital role. So being a part of this digital role would fulfill my excitement that started last year. I was picked to be on a team that went up to Minnesota, and we actually were allowed to, we were kind of given free reins and allowed to design a program that all the employees went through in community banking. We launched D90X, and it was an amazing experience. And just being a part of that training and that in person touch with other employees really gave me energy that I've never felt before. And I had an amazing time doing it. And I think this role would just fulfill that for me and allow me to maintain that role. Tell me about a time you made a mistake and how did you address it and what did you learn? So, definitely have made more than one mistake in my professional career. But one of the biggest ones that sticks out here recently is I told a customer wrong information, which is one of the worst things you can do when it comes in banking. Giving them wrong information regarding a loan that they wanted to do with the bank. So as soon as the customer left and we wrapped up the session in person, my boss pulled me over and he said, "Hey, you just told them totally wrong information. You need to fix that." So I called them back immediately and was so apologetic and just said, "I am so sorry. This is all my fault. This is the right information. Do we need to change anything about your loan?" Because it was a very time sensitive, very pertinent information that they needed to know, and I withheld and gave them actually wrong information about. So owning up to it and moving on, and then knowing for the next customer too was vital information. But I think with the honesty that I gave to that customer and was able to tell them, they were very accepting and actually became lifelong customers. They were happy that I came back to them and let them know what was going on. The time I worked a part of a team is again going to be that D90X Minnesota trip that I was on. So going out to corporate and being a part of a 20-person team that started out as 10 people and grew to 20 really showed me how well a team can work when everybody's on the same path, everybody's got the same goal in mind. We all have different ideas of how to reach that goal, but as long as we have that same goal in mind, there's nothing we can't do. Going 90 days in teaching all of U.S. banks, community banking about digital offerings was something we didn't think was possible, but we did it, and we did it well. We definitely had an exciting time. We had a month in-person meeting where we shut up every day, got work done, and knew what our priorities and our agendas were for the next day and onward. But then after that month-long meeting, we were able to still communicate and get our plan out, the D90X out within 90 days because we were able to communicate and collaborate. We had had that foundation of meeting in person and knowing what we needed from each other to make sure that this went on well and this was successful. The biggest things, my biggest takeaways from that was learning how to communicate, effectively communicate. So knowing how to talk to someone instead of talk at someone, and to really listen to what they were saying, putting biases aside. What would you do if you didn't have to work for a month? So if I did not have to work for a solid month, I would pack up my car, pack up my dog, and we would drive to Oregon or Montana, somewhere out west where I could see the mountains. We could go on hikes and just kind of get lost out there for a while. Her and I both love to go on adventures and explore and try new things, and I think we would just have a total ball being out there, just us two girls living it up, having the time of our lives. So, thank you so much for your time, and I hope to hear from you soon. Thank you so much.